This is the Big Data Show where we hope to provide you with data that you can use to better inform your wagering decisions. Today, we will be previewing the three playoff games set to tip off this afternoon and this evening as we conclude the first round of the NBA playoffs. I first want to let you know about a promo code that you can use to get 20% off any BetQL subscription. You can use the promo code of CHAN. You'll get 20% off any plan or subscription that you choose. There are weekly options. There are monthly options. You can choose it for one sport or two sports or any sport that you wish. Just to give you an example of what you'll get with a BetQL subscription, you'll get access to the model, which provides 4-star and 5-star bets that you can make. Just to give you some recent examples of some successful 5-star and 4-star bets that have cashed. The model recommended that you take the points with the 76ers in Game 4 of the Sixers-Celtics series. It would have recommended that you take the over in Game 4 of the Clippers-Mavericks series. And it also would have recommended that you take the points with the Thunder in Game 4 of the Thunder-Rockets series. So you would have been able to cash in all three games just by tailing the BetQL model. So certainly use the promo code of CHAN to get 20% off any BetQL subscription. You can choose the subscription plan that works best for you. The first game that we will review today is the Magic and Bucks. The Bucks are 14.5-point favorites. The over/under for the game as of right now is 227 points. The Bucks lead the series 3-1. They've won the last three, and they're looking to close out the Magic, in game 5. There's really not much that can be said about this series. The line, the oddsmakers have pretty much pegged this series completely correctly since Game 1. In Games 2 through 4, the Magic had a chance to backdoor cover the line, and in each instance they failed to come up with the last-second basket, which would have been meaningless to the outcome, but would not have been meaningless to those of us wagering on the game. And the total has been close in Games 2 through 4. It's been incredibly. The total has been close as well in most of these games. So if you're going to be bet on this game, just realize that it's very possible that some meaningless late game action is going to determine the fate of your bet. There's no longer any concern or question about the outcome in this series. I don't think there's any doubt that the Bucks are going to be able to wrap up the series today, but it's probably not a game where there's going to be much value on the spread or on the total, considering how the series has progressed. Your fate and the fate of your bet is going to be dependent upon what happens in a meaningless late game situation that you can't really control. Just for example, in the last game, Dante DaVinci shoots meaningless free throws that again have no impact on the outcome of the game, but those meaningless free throws pretty much dictated whether or not Bucks backers would have covered or whether an over would have been hit. The next game that we're going to review is the Thunder and Rockets. It's also Game 5. The Rockets are 4-point favorites. The over/under for the game is 225. Their news has come out earlier today, about Russell Westbrook's injury status. Russell Westbrook has missed the first 40 games of the series, but he's been upgraded to questionable for today's game. We don't know how realistic it is that Westbrook's going to play. This could be a fake out by Coach D'Antoni, or it could be completely legitimate. Westbrook has been aching to come back to play, especially now that the Rockets have dropped the last 2 games. So this is a situation that you'll want to monitor. Westbrook's injury situation is something that you want to monitor before you place a wager, at least on the Rockets side, that is. If you were looking at the Rockets for a side, I would probably wait until you get more information about Westbrook's status. But I think there's an open question as to how much impact Westbrook will have. I don't doubt that Westbrook's a net plus. Nobody can argue that he's anything but a net plus for Rockets. But the Thunder are kind of an interesting matchup with Russell Westbrook in the game. The Thunder have definitely played better against the Rockets when they've played at a faster pace. For example, the pace in Game 4 was 101. The pace in Game 3 was 103.7. So in the two games that the Thunder won, the pace was higher. The pace in the first two games was sub 100. It was around 98. So the Thunder have certainly done better in this series in terms of wins and losses when the pace of the game has increased, when the game is played faster. And that's what's going to happen when Westbrook comes back. The Rockets are going to naturally play faster, and that's also going to take a three-point shooter away from the Rockets or off the court for the Rockets. Westbrook is not a good three-point shooter, and the Rockets have been pretty much scorching net from the three-point line. The Rockets are plus 84 from the three-point line in the first 4 games. That's a lot. That's a huge advantage that the Rockets have had over the Thunder. And it's possible with Westbrook on the court that the three-point disparity between the Rockets and Thunder may decline in this game, considering Westbrook's ineptitude from the three-point line. Him being on the court is going to take away a spot from a Rockets shooter who's going to inevitably be a better three-point shooter than Westbrook. And Westbrook's inevitably going to play at a pace that is arguably more advantageous given the Thunder's advantage with youth and with athleticism. The Thunder were plus 21 in Dennis Schroeder's minutes in games 3 and 4, and he's definitely a guy who is going to benefit from playing at a faster pace. So I'm not so certain that Westbrook's return, if it happens, is necessarily going to be something that pushes the value for this game necessarily towards the Rockets. Now in our last video, we talked about the Thunder needing to do something to overcome the three-point disparity. And the Thunder have been able to find refuge from the free throw line. The Thunder are surprisingly a plus 25 from the three-point line, from the free throw line through the first 4 games. The Rockets are known as a team that just gets to the free throw line at will with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. But the Thunder have been able to get around that by building a pretty substantial and surprising advantage from the free throw line. So perhaps Westbrook's comeback will lead to a smaller Rockets advantage from the three-point line, but will also cut into the Thunder advantage from the free throw line. So that's an interesting balance and to go examine in Game 5. But you should probably wait until you get a definitive note on Westbrook's status before placing a wager on the Rockets, if that's the way that you're leaning. The final game today is the Blazers and the Lakers. The Lakers are 13.5-point favorites. The over-under for the game is 222.5. The Lakers have taken a commanding 3-1 series lead, and they'll be looking to wrap it up against the Blazers this evening. The Blazers will be without the services of superstar Damian Lillard, as he's now reportedly out for at least Game 5. In case you're wondering how the Blazers have done this season without Damian Lillard, they are 2-6 straight up for a net differential of minus 4.5. Now, none of the six losses that the Blazers sustained during the games that they played without Damian Lillard were over the number. None of them were over 14 points or higher. The Blazers averaged 113.5 points per game in the 8 games that Lillard did not play. Just to put that in context, with Lillard, the Blazers averaged 115.1 points per game this season in the 66 regular season games that he did play in. So there was not a substantial difference in the Blazers scoring output. They did still score 113.5 points per game, but the Blazers are facing a much tougher defense in the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers have pretty much clamped down on the Blazers in this series. The Lakers have hit 41 three-pointers in the last 3 games. That's a number that should make Frank Vogel incredibly happy, and it's consistent with the trend of every team being able to shoot well against the Blazers. It seems like the Blazers have been the tonic to any team that is struggling with shooting. The Lakers have struggled with shooting the three-point shot all season long, but now that they've gotten a chance to face Portland, those struggles have disappeared for the time being. The Lakers only hit 5 3-pointers in game 1, but they've hit 41 3-pointers since then. And they will almost certainly the Lakers will wrap up the series today. The only question is whether or not they're going to cover this large number. And I think that one way to look at this big number is that are the Blazers the equivalent of the Orlando Magic against the Milwaukee Bucks? The Bucks are 14.5-point favorites against the Magic today, for example. Are the Blazers without Damian Lillard as bad as the Magic or against the Bucks? So that's a question that you should probably consider and weigh before you make a decision on whether to delay the points of the Lakers, take the points of the Blazers, or even make a bet on the total in this game. So you can get 20% off any BetQL subscription if you use the promo code CHAN. BetQL is a great website to go to. There's a lot of free content. I'm going to have a preview of the Raptors-Celtics Game 1 matchup tomorrow evening. If you go check out the website tomorrow or maybe even later today, you'll see that preview. There's a ton of free content, and if you there are different sports available as well. They're not just even though we talk about basketball on this show, BetQL has the model running for all sports, whether it's baseball, whether it's soccer. The BetQL model is always looking for mispriced lines that you can exploit. So certainly sign up for a subscription that works for you, whether it's 1 week, whether it's monthly, whether it's yearly, whether it's 1 sport, 2 sport, 3 sport, all sports. You choose the subscription model that works best for you, but use the promo code CHAN so you can get 20% off any BetQL subscription. Again, this is the big data show. We're airing a little bit earlier this week due to earlier in the day due to some scheduling issues. I promised you last week that we'd do a show from a Vegas casino or from UNLV. That's still in progress. I do want to find a more scenic environment for future big data shows, but we'll be working on that for the next show, which will happen later this week. So thank you for joining me this afternoon. Thank you for watching the Big Data Show. I wish you luck with your bets this afternoon and this evening. I hope that you stay safe. And thank you again for joining the Big Data Show. Good luck with your bets. I hope you win, unless you happen to be on a different side as I am. But thank you again, and good afternoon, and stay safe.